Most people think gladiators had it rough. They didn't. Not compared to these. Ancient Rome hit a lineup of brutal, disgusting, and downright inhuman jobs that kept the empire running. 7 roles so disturbing most wouldn't survive day one. Why did they exist? Who got stuck doing them? And how bad did it really get? Let's begin with something that sounds harmless. The torium was ancient Rome's version of toilet paper, except it was a communal sponge on a stick that everyone shared. Public toilets consisted of long stone benches with keyhole-shaped holes where dozens of people sat side by side with zero privacy. It was like a board meeting, except everyone had their pants down. Romans treated bathroom time as a social gathering, chatting about politics and business while relieving themselves. The waste dropped through holes into flowing water channels beneath the benches. Someone had to maintain these disgusting communal sponges that sat in buckets filled with vinegar water between uses. It was like a soup kitchen, but for cleaning bottoms. Workers collected these filthy tools, cleaned them by hand without gloves, and replaced them constantly throughout the day. They were basically plumbers, but with a much crappier job description. Beyond maintaining the sponges, workers cleared blockages when waste got stuck and cleaned up accidents when people missed their target. Disease spread like wildfire in these environments, and the stench alone would knock most people unconscious. The Romans basically invented the world's worst customer service job. These bathroom attendants were typically slaves from the poorest class, essential to Roman civilization, yet treated like they were cursed. The work never stopped from sunrise to sunset, and workers often developed chronic illnesses from constant exposure to waste and toxic fumes. While toilet cleaners dealt with waste from the living, another group faced something even bloodier. Blood and body parts covered Roman execution sites after public killings ended, and someone had to clean up this horrific mess before the next day's activities. Executions were popular entertainment where crowds gathered to watch beheadings and crucifixions in town squares and arenas. They were like janitors for death itself. The execution cleaner showed up when the cheering stopped, armed with basic tools like buckets, rags, and sand to soak up blood and collect scattered remains. In gladiator arenas, workers dragged away dead fighters while avoiding slipping in the gore covering the sand. Some gladiators were still breathing, but unconscious when fights ended. Talk about having to complete someone else's unfinished work. Workers would finish off suffering gladiators, then continue with the nauseating cleanup process. It was like cleaning up after the world's worst dinner party. The blood penetrated so deeply into arena sand that workers had to replace entire sections after each event. Society viewed execution cleaners as cursed and unclean, causing people to cross streets to avoid them. They were treated like they had caught death itself. Despite being essential to Rome's entertainment industry, these workers received almost no pay and faced massive social stigma that followed their families for generations. But Romans found commercial value in the strangest substances. Human urine was liquid gold in ancient Rome because it contained ammonia, perfect for cleaning togas and processing leather goods. The demand was so high that Emperor Vespasian imposed taxes on urine collection, making it official government revenue. They were basically the delivery service for PE. Urine collectors made daily rounds, gathering waste from public urinals on street corners, storing it in large clay jars before transporting it to workshops across town. This work required lifting heavy containers filled with human waste through crowded streets daily. Spillage was constant, meaning workers were soaked in ammonia fumes all day. These guys had the worst tan lines in history. The chemical exposure caused severe skin burns and permanent eye damage that never healed properly. Society viewed urine collectors as revolting, and people would hold their breath when forced to pass them. They could clear rooms faster than a fire alarm. Shop owners refused to serve them, and the overwhelming smell penetrated their clothes permanently. They were walking advertisements for why you should avoid their profession. The cruel irony was that these despised workers were essential to Rome's fashion industry. Those beautiful white togas worn by wealthy Romans were cleaned with urine collected by society's most hated people. But while some dealt with waste from the living, others handled the dead. Mass graves served as the final resting place for Rome's poor citizens who couldn't afford elaborate tombs reserved for the wealthy. Gravediggers dug deep communal pits designed to hold multiple bodies stacked on top of each other without coffins or burial containers. It was like apartment living, but underground and permanent. The hot climate meant decomposition began immediately, so workers frequently handled half-rotten corpses that had been sitting in the sun for days. It was like opening the world's worst lunchbox. The overwhelming stench attracted thick clouds of flies that swarmed continuously around burial sites. Medical knowledge was limited, leading to accidental burial of people who were still alive but appeared dead due to comas or near-death conditions. Imagine the worst possible wake-up call in history. Wild animals posed constant threats as rats, dogs, and birds fought viciously over exposed body parts. It was like working in a restaurant where you were also on the menu,